if you've been searching for love, feeling lonely, or simply need the deepest sleep of your life, this story is for you. Let the magic of Paris and an unexpected romance carry you into the most peaceful dreams. Before we begin tonight's journey, I want to share the heart behind Sleepbound Traveler. This space was created for adults who long for a moment of peace, a soft landing at the end of a long day. Think of it as your nightly passport to calm, where every story becomes a doorway to rest. Each episode is crafted with intention: soothing narration, gentle soundscapes, history, culture, and slow unfolding adventures designed to quiet the mind. As you listen, you're invited to wander through serene destinations. If these journeys bring you comfort, consider liking, subscribing, and giving us a comment. It helps us continue creating peaceful escapes for you to enjoy night after night. Close your eyes now and let your body sink deeply into the softness beneath you. Feel the gentle weight of the blankets around you, cocooning you in warmth and safety. Now, you are about to embark on a journey, a beautiful, calming adventure that will carry you softly into sleep. There's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to be. Simply breathe in and out and allow yourself to drift with me to a place where love blooms unexpectedly, where the winter air is crisp and magical, and where every moment unfolds like a gentle dream. You're calm. You're relaxed. You are only enjoying this beautiful experience here with me. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Release any tension in your jaw. Feel your hands resting softly at your sides, palms open, fingers loose. With each breath, you sink a little deeper, a little further into comfort. The world around you begins to fade, the worries of the day, the tasks left undone, the noise of daily life. All of it melts away like snow under the gentle warmth of morning sun. Now you will travel to Paris, the city of lights, the city of love. But this is not just any journey. This is your journey, a story of discovery, of beauty, of unexpected connection. And as you travel with me, you will feel yourself becoming lighter, softer, more peaceful with every word. So settle in now. Let your breathing slow and deepen. Feel the rhythm of your heartbeat, steady and calm. Together, we will walk through cobblestone streets, beneath twinkling lights, through galleries filled with masterpieces, and into a love story that will wrap around you like the warmest embrace. Are you ready? Then let us begin. It is early December, and you stand in your small apartment in Boston, looking out to the frosted window at the quiet street below. Snowflakes drift lazily past the glass, each one catching the amber glow of the streetlights. Your cat, Mia, a fluffy tabby with golden eyes, purrs softly from her perch on the windowsill, watching the snow with the same quiet contentment you feel in this moment. You are a biological scientist, thoughtful, observant, someone who spends your days studying the intricate patterns of life. Your work is fulfilling, your life is comfortable, and yet there has always been something missing. Not a void exactly, but a gentle longing. A space in your heart that has remained unfilled despite being open to love for so many years. You have never been one to rush, never been one to settle. You have trusted that the right person would come when the time was right. And so, you have lived your life fully, independently, with Mia as your faithful companion and your work as your passion. But now, as winter settles over Boston, you feel something stirring within you, a desire for adventure, a call to step outside the familiar routines and explore something new. And so one evening, as you sit curled up on your sofa with Mia nestled in your lap, you make a decision. You will go to Paris. The thought fills you with a warm excitement. You imagine walking along the Seine, standing before great works of art, tasting fresh pastries in cozy cafes. You imagine discovering the city on your own terms, at your own pace, with no agenda, but to soak in the beauty and wonder of it all. The days leading up to your departure are filled with quiet preparation. You arrange for a neighbor to care for Mia. You pack your warmest coat, your most comfortable boots, a journal for capturing your thoughts. You book a charming hotel room near the Louvre. And as you fold each sweater, tuck away each scarf, you feel anticipation building like a gentle tide within you. The morning of your flight arrives with a soft, pearl gray dawn. You say goodbye to Mia, stroking her soft fur and promising to return with stories. The taxi ride to Logan International Airport is quiet, the city still waking as you glide through nearly empty streets. You watch the bare trees pass by, their branches etched against the pale sky like delicate lace. At the airport, you move through the familiar rhythms of check-in and security with a calm efficiency. There is something meditative about travel, the way it requires you to be present, to follow the flow, to trust in the process. You find your gate and settle into a seat near the window, watching planes taxi and take off, each one carrying passengers toward their own adventures. When boarding begins, you gather your things and make your way down the jetway, feeling the slight thrill that always comes with stepping onto an aircraft. You find your seat by the window, stow your carry-on, and settle in. The cabin fills with the soft murmur of other passengers, the gentle clicks of seat belts, the rustle of magazines and blankets. As the plane pushes back from the gate, you close your eyes and take a deep breath. You feel the engines rumble to life, feel the aircraft begin to move. The acceleration down the runway presses you gently back into your seat. And then, that miraculous moment of lift. You are airborne. The ground falls away beneath you. Boston becomes a patchwork of rooftops and streets, then a miniature landscape, then a memory. You rise through layers of clouds, emerging into brilliant sunshine above a sea of white. The light is dazzling, pure, and you feel yourself lifted not just physically, but spiritually. You're on your way. The flight is long and peaceful. You read for a while, then recline your seat and let yourself drift. The steady hum of the engines is like a lullaby, constant and soothing. You sleep in fragments, waking occasionally to sip water or gaze out at the endless blue beyond your window. Time becomes fluid, unmoored from its usual constraints. And then, as the hours pass, you feel the subtle shift as the plane begins its descent. You open your eyes to see the landscape below transforming. The Atlantic gives way to the coast of France, then to the patchwork of fields and forests, villages and rivers. Your heart quickens with excitement. Paris awaits. Charles de Gaulle Airport is a cathedral of glass and steel, bustling with travelers from every corner of the world. You move through passport control with your documents in hand, feeling the delicious unfamiliarity of being in a foreign place. The French voices around you create a musical backdrop. You catch fragments of conversations. You collect your luggage and make your way to the taxi stand. The December air is cold and crisp when you step outside, carrying with it the scent of rain and city life. You slide into the back of a taxi, and the driver greets you with a warm bonjour. You return the greeting, your accent stumbling slightly, and he smiles kindly. As the taxi winds through the outskirts of Paris towards the city center, you press your face close to the window, absorbing in every detail. The architecture is different here. Elegant houseman buildings with their ornate facades, wrought iron balconies, mansard roofs. The streets are narrower, more intimate. Cafes with wicker chairs spill onto sidewalks. Bakeries display golden croissants and glossy fruit tarts in their windows. The city wraps around you like a story unfolding, page by page. Your hotel, the elegant Hotel de Louvre, rises before you, a grand building with a cream-colored stone facade and tall windows that gleam in the afternoon light. The lobby is warm and welcoming, decorated with subtle holiday touches. Garlands of evergreen, soft gold lights, the faint scent of cinnamon and clove in the air. You check in, receiving your key with a smile from the concierge, and make your way upstairs. Your room is a sanctuary, a plush bed with crisp white linens, a small desk by the window overlooking the street, soft lighting that casts a golden glow over everything. You set down your luggage and walk to the window, pulling back the curtain. Below you, Paris pulses with life. People hurry along the sidewalks, scarves wrapped snugly against the cold. A street musician plays a gentle accordion melody that drifts up to your window. The sky is heavy with clouds, but there is a brightness to the air, a promise of beauty. You unpack slowly, hanging your clothes in the armoire, arranging your toiletries in the bathroom. You take a long, hot shower, letting the water wash away the fatigue of travel. And then, wrapped in the soft hotel robe, you lie down on the bed for just a moment. The mattress cradles you perfectly. The pillows are like clouds. You close your eyes, just for a moment, and feel yourself sinking into the most delicious rest. The next morning dawns gray and misty, but you wake feeling refreshed and eager. After a simple breakfast of croissants and café au lait in the hotel's dining room, you bundle up in your warmest coat and step out into the Parisian morning. The Louvre is just a short walk from your hotel, and you make your way there slowly, savoring every moment. The Rue de Rivoli stretches before you, its arcaded sidewalks providing shelter from the light drizzle that has begun to fall. You can hear the gentle patter of raindrops on the stone arches above you, can see the way the moisture makes the cobblestones gleam. As you approach the museum, the glass pyramid rises before you like a modern jewel set in a historical crown. The courtyard is already dotted with visitors despite the early hour, and you join the queue with a sense of anticipation thrumming through you. Inside the Louvre is a world unto itself. The moment you step through the entrance, you're enveloped in hushed reverence. The ceilings soar above you, painted with frescoes, gilded with intricate details. The marble floors echo softly with footsteps. The air carries the faint scent of old wood and stone, of centuries of history preserved under one magnificent roof. You begin to wander, letting your instincts guide you rather than following a map. You drift through halls lined with Greek and Roman sculptures, gods and goddesses frozen in marble, their faces serene, their bodies capturing impossible grace. You run your eyes over the smooth curves of stone, marveling at how hands thousands of years ago could create such beauty. In the Egyptian wing, you stand before sarcophagi decorated with hieroglyphs, before statues of pharaohs whose eyes seem to hold ancient wisdom. The lighting is soft here, reverent, and you feel as though you are walking through time itself. And then you find yourself in the galleries of paintings. Masterpiece after masterpiece lines the walls, colors rich and vibrant even after centuries. You stand before works by Caravaggio, by Vermeer, by Delacroix. You let each painting speak to you in its own language. You notice the way light falls across a face, the symbolism hidden in the background, the emotion captured in a single brushstroke. When you finally reach the Mona Lisa, you are swept along with a crowd of admirers. She sits behind her protective glass, that enigmatic smile playing at her lips. You study her for a long moment, not trying to solve her mystery, simply appreciating the fact that you are here in this moment, sharing space with one of the most famous images in human history. The hours pass like minutes. You eventually find a bench in a quieter gallery and sit, simply observing, watching other visitors drift by, listening to the soft shuffle of feet, the occasional whispered conversation in a dozen different languages. You feel so peacefully alone in the best possible way, independent, free, content in your own company. When hunger finally pulls you away, you stop at the museum's café for a light lunch. You sit by a window overlooking the Tuileries garden, eating a simple salad and fresh bread, sipping water, and letting the morning's experiences settle into your memory like precious stones. 2 days later, you venture beyond the city to Versailles. The train ride is smooth and pleasant, carrying you through the suburbs of Paris and into the countryside. You watch bare trees flash past the windows, see the pale winter sun trying to break through the clouds. Feel the gentle rocking of the train, lulling you into a meditative state. Versailles Palace rises before you like something from a fairy tale. The golden gates, the vast courtyard, the endless facade of windows reflecting the sky. Even in winter, even with the gardens asleep, the palace radiates grandeur. You purchase your ticket and enter, joining the flow of visitors moving through the state apartments. The hall of mirrors takes your breath away, that long gallery with its 17 arched mirrors, catching and multiplying the light. From the opposite windows, creating an infinite dance of reflections. Chandeliers drip from the ceiling like frozen waterfalls of crystal. The painted ceiling depicts the glories of Louis XIV's reign in stunning detail. You walk slowly, your footsteps muffled by the carpet, your eyes trying to take in every detail. Gilded furniture, ornate tapestries, marble fireplaces taller than you. Each room is more opulent than the last. In the palace gardens, despite the cold, you walk along the gravel paths. The fountains are still. The statues stand sentinel over empty flower beds, but there is a stark beauty to it all. The bare trees create intricate patterns against the gray sky. The air is crisp and clean, carrying the scent of wet earth and distant wood smoke. You strike up a conversation with a couple from Australia, fellow travelers exploring Europe in the off-season. You share stories about where you've been, exchange recommendations for restaurants and hidden gems. The conversation is easy, friendly, the kind of connection that happens naturally when strangers meet in beautiful places. They tell you about their children back home, and you tell them about Mia, your faithful tabby. You all laugh together at the universal language of loving our pets. By the time you board the train back to Paris, you are tired but deeply content. You rest your head against the window, watching the landscape blur past, and feel grateful for this day, for this experience, for the courage to travel alone and discover that solitude can be its own kind of freedom. That evening, after resting at your hotel, you decide to take a walk. The sun is setting early, as it does in December, and the city is transforming into its nighttime self. The streetlights flicker on one by one, creating pools of warm light along the sidewalks. Shop windows glow with displays of holiday decorations and winter fashions. You make your way toward the Champs-Élysées, that famous avenue stretching from Place de la Concorde to the Arc de Triomphe. The street is alive with energy. Shoppers carrying glossy bags, couples strolling arm in arm, tourists snapping photos of the holiday lights strung between the trees. The lights are magical. Thousands of tiny bulbs wrap around the bare branches of the plane trees lining the avenue, creating a canopy of stars above you. They twinkle and shimmer, casting a soft glow over everyone below. The effect is dreamlike, enchanting. You walk slowly in no hurry, your hands tucked into your coat pockets, your breath forming small clouds in the cold air. You window shop, admiring displays of perfumes and chocolates, leather goods, and designer fashions. You listen to the rhythm of the city, car horns in the distance, the chatter of passing conversations, the click of heels on pavement. As you near the Arc de Triomphe, that massive monument rising at the top of the avenue, you feel a gentle hunger stirring. You've been walking for almost an hour, and a cafe sounds perfect. You spot a small establishment tucked just off the main avenue, warm light spilling from its windows. A chalkboard sign outside advertising coffee and pastries. You push open the door, and a wave of warmth and delicious aromas washes over you. The cafe is cozy, small round tables with marble tops, bentwood chairs, walls lined with shelves of books and vintage posters. Soft jazz plays in the background. The air smells of roasting coffee beans, butter, and sugar. You approach the counter to order, your eyes scanning the display case of pastries, flaky palmiers, glossy eclairs, delicate macarons in pastel colors. You're trying to decide between a pain au chocolat and an almond croissant. Someone bumps into you from the side. Not hard, just enough to make you step slightly off balance. A hand reaches out to steady you, touching your elbow gently. Oh, pardon. Je suis désolé. I am so sorry. You turn, and your eyes meet his. He is tall. You have to tilt your head up slightly to look at his face. Dark hair touched with silver at the temples. Eyes the color of warm cognac, filled with genuine concern and apology. A strong jawline, softened by smile lines at the corners of his eyes. He is dressed simply but elegantly. A charcoal wool coat, a burgundy scarf looped casually around his neck. No, it's fine, you assure him, finding your voice. Really, I'm okay. He releases your elbow but doesn't step away. Instead, he smiles. A warm, genuine smile that reaches his eyes. I was too eager for my coffee, I think, not watching where I was going. His English is excellent, accented with that beautiful French intonation that makes even simple words sound like poetry. I was doing the same thing, you admit, gesturing to the pastry case. Too many good choices. He laughs, a rich, warm sound that seems to resonate in your chest. Ah, yes. This is always the problem here. Every day I come in, and every day I cannot decide. You come here every day, you ask, surprised at how naturally the conversation flows. Almost. I work nearby, and they have the best coffee in the neighborhood. And Madame Beaumont? He nods toward the elderly woman behind the counter who is watching you both with barely concealed amusement. Makes the finest pain au chocolat in all of Paris. High praise, you say, smiling, but deserved it. He pauses, then extends his hand. I am Laurent. You take his hand, feeling the warmth of his palm, the gentle firmness of his grip. And you give your name. American? He asks. From Boston. I'm visiting for the week. His face lights up with interest. Boston, a beautiful city. I was there once for a conference. The autumn colors were spectacular. That's the best time to visit, you agree. Though right now, it's all snow and cold. Like Paris then, we are both in winter. He gestures to the counter. Please, let me buy your coffee and pastry, as an apology for my clumsiness, and as a welcome to our city. You start to protest, but something in his expression, hopeful, kind, genuinely interested, makes you reconsider. That's very kind. Thank you. You order together, café crème and a pain au chocolat for you, espresso and a palmier for him. As Madame Beaumont prepares your order, Laurent asks, would you like to sit, or are you in a hurry? You glance around the cafe. Nearly all the tables are occupied, but there is one small table for two in the corner, near a window overlooking the street. It looks perfect. I'd like to sit, you hear yourself say. If you have time. For me, I will make time, he says simply. And so begins the most unexpected and beautiful conversation of your life. You sit across from each other at the small table. The window beside you frames the evening street outside. People passing by, the glow of shop windows, the twinkling lights of the Champs-Élysées visible in the distance. Inside, the café wraps around you, both like a warm embrace. You talk about everything. Laurent tells you he is a businessman. He owns a small firm that consults on sustainable business practices, helping companies reduce their environmental impact. His eyes light up when he speaks about his work, about the importance of balancing commerce with care for the planet. It is not so different from your work, I think, he says when you tell him about your research in biology. We are both trying to understand systems. You at the microscopic level, me at the organizational level. Both seeking balance. The conversation flows effortlessly from topic to topic. You discuss your travels, places you've been, places you dream of going. He tells you about growing up in Lyon, about his love for literature and art, about his belief that the most important things in life are beauty, connection, and meaning. Things, possessions, they do not matter so much, he says, his hands gesturing expressively as he speaks. But a beautiful painting, a perfect line of poetry, a conversation that makes you think differently about the world, these things stay with you. You find yourself leaning forward, drawn into his words, his perspective. There's an intelligence in him, but also a warmth. He asks about your life in Boston, about Mia, and laughs delightedly at your description of her demanding morning routine, about what brought you to Paris alone. I wanted an adventure, you tell him honestly. Something just for me. He nods, understanding immediately. This is brave. Many people, they cannot be alone. They always need company, distraction. But to travel alone, to sit with yourself in a foreign place, this requires courage. Do you travel alone? You ask. Sometimes, yes, though I confess, I prefer good company when I can find it. He meets your eyes as he says this, and you feel a flutter in your chest. The minutes stretch into an hour, then 2. Madame Beaumont brings you both fresh coffee without being asked, winking at you as she sets down the cups. The café begins to empty as the evening deepens, but neither of you makes a move to leave. Laurent tells you about his favorite places in Paris, not the tourist spots, but the hidden corners. A small bookshop on the left bank that's been run by the same family for 4 generations. A park near his apartment where you can hear nightingales singing in the spring. A tiny museum dedicated to the history of perfume, where you can smell fragrances from across the centuries. You must see the Musée d'Orsay if you haven't yet, he says. The Louvre is magnificent, but d'Orsay, it has my heart. The Impressionists, they understood light and life in a way that still takes my breath away. I was planning to go there, you tell him. He hesitates for just a moment, then says, Perhaps. Would you like company? I know the collection well. I could show you my favorite pieces. Your heart skips. I would love that. His smile is radiant. Tomorrow, if you are free, tomorrow you agree. You exchange phone numbers, and when you finally, reluctantly rise to leave, he helps you with your coat. His hands linger for just a moment on your shoulders, and you feel the warmth of his touch through the fabric. Outside, the night is cold and clear. The stars are visible between the city lights. Laurent insists on walking you back toward your hotel, even though it's out of his way. Paris at night is too beautiful not to share, he says. You walk together through the illuminated streets, your conversation continuing in a softer register now, more intimate against the backdrop of the sleeping city. When you reach your hotel, he takes your hand and raises it to his lips. Not quite kissing it, just a gentle brush of warmth. Until tomorrow, he says. Sleep well. You watch him walk away, his tall figure disappearing into the Parisian night, and you feel as though something fundamental has shifted in your world. Upstairs in your room, you lie in bed, too energized to sleep despite the late hour. You replay the evening in your mind, every word, every smile, every moment your eyes meet across the small cafe table. You think about the unexpected ways life can surprise us, how love can arrive not when we're desperately seeking it, but when we're simply open to possibility. You wake the next morning with a fluttering anticipation in your chest. Sunlight streams through your window, the first truly bright day since you arrived. You dress carefully, choosing a soft sweater in a deep blue color, comfortable pants, and your favorite boots. You look at yourself in the mirror and see your own eyes shining with excitement. Laurent meets you at the entrance to the Musée d'Orsay promptly at 10. He is waiting by the street, and his face transforms when he sees you approaching. He is wearing dark jeans, a gray sweater, and that same charcoal coat from yesterday. He looks relaxed, happy, and undeniably handsome in the morning light. Bonjour, he says, kissing both your cheeks in the French way. A gesture that feels both formal and intimate. Good morning, you reply, suddenly a little shy. The museum is housed in a former railway station, and the moment you step inside, you understand why Laurent loves it. The main hall is breathtaking, a vast space with an arched glass ceiling that floods everything with natural light. The old station clock still hangs high on the wall, a reminder of the building's history. Laurent guides you through the galleries with the enthusiasm of someone sharing a beloved secret. He doesn't lecture. Instead, he shares stories, observations, moments of wonder. In front of Monet's water lilies, he says, "Look how he dissolves the boundary between water and sky, between reflection and reality. Everything becomes light and colorful." Before Renoir's ball at the Moulin de la Galette, he points out the dappled sunlight filtering through the trees, the sense of movement and joy captured in the dancing figures. Can you almost hear the music? He asks. And you realize you can. You can imagine the accordion playing, the chatter of voices, the shuffle of feet on the wooden floor. You spend nearly an hour in a single room filled with Van Gogh's work. Laurent stands beside you in front of Starry Night over the Rhone, and you both simply gaze at the swirling sky, the reflection of gaslight on water, the two small figures walking together in the foreground. "Do you think they were in love?" you ask softly, nodding toward the painted couple. "I think they must have been," Laurent replies just as quietly. "To walk together under such a sky, on such a night, that is the kind of beauty you want to share only with someone special." You turn to look at him and find him already looking at you. The air between you feels charged, full of unspoken meaning. Throughout the morning, your hands occasionally brush, reaching for the same railing, standing close to read a placard. Each touch sends a small spark through you. You find yourselves naturally falling into step together, your rhythms syncing without effort. In the café on the museum's 5th floor, you sit by the enormous clock window that overlooks the Seine. You can see Montmartre in the distance, the white dome of Sacré-Cœur rising above the rooftops. You share a light lunch, quiche and salad, mineral water, but you barely taste the food. You're too absorbed in the conversation. Laurent tells you about his life. He's never been married, though he came close once in his 30s. It was not right, he says simply. We both knew it, but we were afraid to admit it. When we finally ended it, it was sad, but also a relief. I understand that, you say, and you tell him about your own romantic history, the relationships that almost worked but didn't quite, the gradual acceptance that you might not find what you were looking for, the peace you've made with building a good life on your own terms. But you still hope, he says. It's not a question. I still hope, you confirm. Me too, he says, and his eyes hold yours with an intensity that makes your breath catch. The conversation deepens in ways that surprise you both. You discuss philosophy, mortality, the nature of happiness. Laurent talks about losing his father 2 years ago, about how it made him reevaluate what matters. You share your own experiences with loss and change. You discover that you both love to read, that you both find peace in nature, that you both believe in kindness as a radical act in an often harsh world. I have a feeling, Laurent says at one point, that I was meant to be clumsy in that cafe yesterday, that I was meant to bump into you exactly when I did. You don't believe in fate, you say, remembering his earlier comments about creating meaning through choices. No, he agrees. But I believe in paying attention when something feels right. And this, he gestures between you, this feels very right. You feel it too, that sense of clicking into place, of recognition. Not love yet, it's too soon for that word, but the potential for love. The opening of a door you thought might remain forever closed. When you finally leave the museum, the afternoon has turned golden. The winter sun hangs low in the sky, casting long shadows across the streets. Laurent takes your hand as you walk, and it feels like the most natural thing in the world. You walk along the Seine, watching the boats pass beneath the bridges, watching the light shimmer on the water. You stop at a bookstall and browse together through old prints and vintage postcards. Laurent buys you a small print of a Degas ballerina. To remember today, he says. You have dinner at a small bistro he knows in the Marais, a tucked-away place with checkered tablecloths and candles flickering in wine bottles. The food is simple and perfect: roasted chicken with herbs, crispy golden potatoes, a salad dressed with sharp vinaigrette. You share a bottle of red wine that tastes of cherries and earth. The conversation continues, growing richer and more comfortable with each passing hour. You laugh together at shared jokes, at observations about the other diners, at the absurdities of daily life. You challenge each other's ideas in playful ways. You fall into comfortable silences that feel as natural as the talking. When he walks you back to your hotel that night, he stops outside the entrance and turns to face you. The street is quiet, the city settling into late-night rhythms. "I don't want this day to end," he says quietly. "Neither do I." He reaches up and gently tucks a strand of hair behind your ear, his fingers lingering for a moment against your cheek. "When do you leave Paris?" "In 4 days." Something shadows his expression. "So soon." "I know." "Then we must make the most of the time we have," he says. "Will you see me again tomorrow?" "Yes," you say, without hesitation. He leans down slowly, giving you time to pull away if you want to. But you don't want to. His lips brush against yours, soft, warm, questioning. You answer by leaning into the kiss, your hand coming up to rest on his chest, where you can feel his heart beating strong and fast. The kiss is gentle, full of promise. When you finally part, you are both smiling. "Bonne nuit," he whispers. "Good night," you whisper back. You float up to your room, your whole body humming with happiness. You lie in bed, touching your fingers to your lips, hardly believing this is real. The next days unfold like a dream within a dream. You and Laurent are inseparable. He takes the time off from work, something he never does, he tells you, but this is important. You are important. You explore Paris together, like new lovers discovering a city made just for them. You visit the Latin Quarter, wandering through narrow streets that have existed since medieval times, climbing to the top of the Pantheon to see the entire city spread beneath you like a map of possibility. You visit the Rhodes Museum, standing together in the garden, even though it's cold, looking at the thinker and the kiss. When you stand before the latter sculpture, those two figures eternally frozen in their embrace, Laurent pulls you close, wrapping his arms around you from behind, resting his chin on your head. "Beautiful," he murmurs, and you're not sure if he means the sculpture or the moment. You ride the metro together, navigating the underground maze of tunnels and platforms, laughing when you get momentarily lost. You hold hands on the train, swaying together with the motion of the car, watching the stations flash past. You have breakfast together at sidewalk cafes, sitting close despite the cold, drinking steaming bowls of café crème, and eating tartines spread thick with butter and jam. You visit Shakespeare and Company, that famous English language bookshop near Notre Dame. You browse the crowded shelves together, recommend titles to each other, find a small alcove where you sit on the floor and read passages aloud. Laurent buys you a book of French poetry, inscribing it with words that make your eyes sting with sudden tears. Pour celle qui a illuminé ma vie en l'espace de quelques jours, with all my hope, Laurent. For her who has illuminated my life in the space of a few days. You talk about the future, tentatively at first, then with growing boldness. The distance between Boston and Paris seems insurmountable, yet you both refuse to let it diminish what you're building together. We will figure it out, Laurent says firmly. I can visit you. You can come back here. There are ways. Can perhaps be done remotely sometimes, no? In my business, I have partners who can manage when I am away. He takes your hands in both of his. I am not saying it will be easy, but easy is not always what matters. What matters is whether something is worth fighting for. Is this worth fighting for, you ask, needing to hear him say it. Absolutely yes, he says without hesitation. I have been waiting for you for so long, I think. I just did not know I was waiting. And now that I have found you, or you have found me, or we have found each other, I cannot let you simply disappear from my life. That evening, he cooks dinner for you at his apartment, a charming space on the 4th floor of a building in the 11th arrondissement. The apartment is filled with books and art, comfortable furniture, a small balcony that overlooks a quiet courtyard. It feels like him. Warm, thoughtful, lived in. You watch him move around the kitchen with easy confidence, chopping vegetables, stirring a pot of something that smells like heaven. He pours you wine and you sit on a stool at the counter, talking while he cooks. Jazz plays softly from a speaker. Candles burn on the table. The meal is simple but delicious. Coq au vin, crusty bread, a salad of bitter greens. You eat at a small dining table by the window, and through the glass, you can see the lights of other apartments, other lives being lived in parallel to this perfect moment. After dinner, you sit together on his sofa. He has lit a fire in the small fireplace. You can hear the soft crackling of the burning logs and can feel the warmth radiating outward. You curl into his side, your head on his shoulder, his arm around you. You talk quietly about everything and nothing, about childhoods and dreams, fears and hopes, about the strange miracle of connection, how two people can meet by accident and suddenly nothing feels accidental anymore. I am falling in love with you, Laurent says at one point, his voice quiet but steady. I know it is fast. I know we should be careful, but I do not want to hide what I feel. You lift your head to look at him. His face is serious, open, vulnerable in a way that makes your heart ache. I'm falling in love with you too, you tell him. And it's terrifying and wonderful all at once. He kisses you then, a deeper kiss than before, full of longing and tenderness and promise. You lose track of time in his arms, in the warmth of the fire, in the safety of what you're building together. When you finally, reluctantly, say you should return to your hotel, he insists on walking you. Outside, the city is quiet and cold, frost sparkling on the parked cars. You walk slowly, not wanting the night to end. At your hotel door, he holds you close for a long moment. Tomorrow is your last full day, he says, his voice rough with emotion. I know. Then we will make it perfect. I promise you. Your final day in Paris arrives with a bittersweet beauty. The sky is clear, the air cold and sharp. You have tried not to think about leaving, but the reality presses against you now with undeniable weight. Laurent picks you up mid-afternoon. He is quieter than usual, more serious. You take his hand and squeeze it, and he squeezes back, a wordless conversation passing between you. Where are we going? You ask, though you think you know. To the heart of Paris, he says, to make a promise. He takes you to the Eiffel Tower, even though you've seen it from various angles throughout your visit. You haven't yet gone up. Now, as you stand at its base and look up at the iron latticework stretching toward the sky, you feel a sense of awe. You take the elevator up, pressed close together among the other tourists. But somehow, despite the crowd, you feel alone with him. At the second level, you step out onto the viewing platform. Paris spreads beneath you in all directions. A city of cream and gray stone, of terracotta rooftops, of winding rivers and grand boulevards. The light is beginning to change as afternoon slides toward evening. The sky above is pale blue, grading to pink and gold at the horizon. You and Laurent stand at the railing, looking out over the city. His arm is around your waist, holding you close against the wind. Look, he says, pointing. There is Sacré-Cœur, where we walked, and the Arc de Triomphe. And there, can you see? The dome of the Pantheon. You follow his finger, identifying landmarks that have become familiar to you. Each one holds a memory now. Each one is woven into the story of these past few days. I will never look at Paris the same way again, you say softly. You've given me that. And you have given me something even more precious, he replies. You have shown me that it is not too late, that life still holds surprises and joy and possibility. He turns you to face him, his hands on your shoulders. Other tourists move around you, taking photos, exclaiming over the view, but you are aware of only him. I want to promise you something, Laurent says, his eyes intense on yours. I will come to Boston, not in some vague future, but soon, next month. I will arrange my business, and I will come to you. We will have more time together, and we will see where this leads. And if it leads where I hope it leads, we will figure out the rest. Together. Tears blur your vision. I want that so much. And you will come back to Paris in the spring, perhaps, when the chestnuts are blooming and the city is green again. Yes, you promise? I'll come back. Then we have a plan, he says, and though his voice is steady, you can see the emotion in his eyes. This is not goodbye. This is just au revoir, until we see each other again. Au revoir, you whisper. He kisses you there, high above the city as the sun begins to set. The light turns everything golden, the stone of the buildings below, the water of the Seine, the iron of the tower around you. You feel suspended between earth and sky, between ending and beginning. When the sun is fully set and the tower's lights begin to sparkle, that magical display that happens every hour after dark, you stand together and watch. Thousands of lights twinkle and dance, and you feel as though the universe is celebrating with you, bearing witness to this moment and this promise. You have dinner at a restaurant near the tower, a place with white tablecloths and soft lighting, where the waiters are kind and discreet. You eat slowly, savoring every bite, every sip of wine, every moment of conversation. You memorize the way the candlelight plays across Laurent's face, the way his eyes crinkle when he smiles, the way his hand feels wrapped around yours on the table. You don't talk about logistics or practicalities. You talk instead about dreams, about the life you might build together if everything falls into place. You allow yourselves to imagine it, visits back and forth, holidays together, eventually perhaps one of you relocating. It's scary and uncertain, but it's also thrilling. I believe in us, Laurent says as the evening winds down. Do you? I do, you say, and mean it with every fiber of your being. He walks you back to your hotel one last time. The streets are quiet now, most of the city having retreated indoors against the cold. Your breath forms clouds in the air, mingling together. At your hotel door, you don't want to let him go. You hold him tight, your face pressed against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. His arms are strong around you, one hand stroking your hair gently. Sleep well, he finally whispers, and tomorrow I will take you to the airport. I want to see you one more time. You don't have to. I want to, he says firmly. Please, let me do this. You nod against his chest, then tip your head back for one last kiss. It is tender and deep, full of everything you feel, but can't quite put into words. Morning arrives too quickly. You pack your bag slowly, carefully folding each item, remembering where you wore it, what you were doing. Each piece of clothing carries a memory now. Laurent arrives to drive you to the airport. He carries your bag down to the car, opens your door for you, handles everything with quiet care. The drive is subdued. You hold hands across the center console, and he plays soft music. French songs with melancholy melodies that somehow feel perfect. At Charles de Gaulle, he parks and insists on walking you all the way to security. You stand together in the bright, busy terminal, surrounded by the sounds of rolling luggage and flight announcements, and 1,000 goodbyes. Next month, he says, pulling you close one last time. I promise. Next month, you repeat, holding tight to that promise like a lifeline. One more kiss, one more embrace, and then you have to let go, have to step back, have to walk toward the security line. You turn back 3 times to wave, and each time he is still there, watching, his hand raised in farewell. Through security, through the terminal, to your gate. You move through it all in a daze. The airport feels surreal, removed from the magic of the past week. On the plane, You find your window seat and settle in. The cabin fills with passengers. The safety demonstration plays. The engines hum to life. And then you are moving, taxiing toward the runway, gathering speed, lifting into the air. You watch through your window as Paris falls away beneath you, the orderly grid of streets, the silver ribbon of the Seine, the landmarks you've come to know. The city grows smaller and smaller, becoming a map, becoming a memory. And then you are above the clouds, flying through that vast blue nothing toward home. You lean your head against the window, exhausted but too full of emotion to sleep. You think about Laurent, probably driving back into the city now. You think about your apartment, waiting for you in Boston. About Mia, who will be so happy to see you. You think about how much has changed in just 1 week. Love was not what you came to Paris seeking. But love found you anyway. Or you found it, or you found each other. And now you carry it with you, this fragile, precious thing, across the ocean and into whatever comes next. You let your eyes drift closed. The drone of the engines is soothing, constant. The cabin is warm. Around you, other passengers are reading, sleeping, watching movies on their screens. You feel yourself beginning to let go, to release the tight grip on consciousness, to trust that everything will be okay, that love is worth the risk, worth the distance, worth the uncertainty. You think of Laurent's face, his smile, his hands, his voice saying your name. You think of Paris in winter, the lights on the Champs-Élysées, the art in the galleries, the taste of coffee and croissants. You think of the future, uncertain but full of promise. Your breathing slows, deepens, becomes rhythmic and steady. The plane carries you through the sky, suspended between worlds. You are calm. You are relaxed. You are safe. You are loved. And sleep finally wraps its gentle arms around you as you drift down into soft darkness. You are smiling because this is not an ending. This is a beginning. And somewhere across the ocean, in a city of lights and love, someone is thinking of you too.